My name is BJ Underkofler, and I'm from Helena, Montana. And I attended TRCC from '04 to '06. So I currently work at the 2nd Special Warfare Training Group at the Miller Training Compound as a sniper marksmanship instructor for the Special Forces Sniper Course. So what TRCC really brought to me to benefit was the ability to not only weave in discipline and attention to detail from like the baseball side of things with Coach Berkey and Coach Stuckey, but also the way that the teachers sort of interacted. Like they understood that we were busy and that we were doing a lot of practice. So they were able to, like, you felt like you had that one-on-one with them. Like you could come in and talk to them. They were super approachable, very easy to work with. And I never once felt overwhelmed by everything, especially being a young 19-year-old kid away from home for the first time. Like it very much gave me that family feeling. And I think what that prepared me for was now I have the ability to, and even afterwards, to approach people, to talk to people, to not be afraid to ask questions, and to be the guy that's like, hey, I don't understand this, or hey, I would like some more help with this. And even leading to being able to communicate and relate with people. And I think that was a huge thing that TRCC brought to me, was the family feeling where, like, do not, so many people are afraid to, if you want to call it, like, ruffle the feathers, or be the person, they're like, oh, I have a question, and so like the last person, and everyone's like, come on. So TRCC gave me that confidence to be able to interact with people in the world and to be more of myself and not be afraid of who I am. And I think educationally, what it gave me was responsibility. So like in high school, you're able to kind of like fluff your way through the work, and and that. Whereas TRCC, like, I was held accountable by the teachers. We're held accountable by by Coach Berkey. You have to have this GPA to be able to play. And I think that was the first time that I really saw that, like, my work meant something, and that it was going to translate down the road. And it definitely helped me when I went to my 4-year school and continued to learn there, that basis of discipline was brought in so that I was able to continue on. And I was very fortunate to graduate with, I want to say, right around a 3.75 GPA through my 4 years. I'm very proud, proud that I could be able to do that as an athlete, and balance. And that'd probably be the next thing I would say is TRCC taught balance. We did a ton of practicing, a ton of time out on the field. I mean, you see the baseball players all the time out there. It's a lot. And so to be able to go from your own house and having almost no responsibilities to, hey, you are now a grown adult, here is your plate, make it work. That ability to balance work and time and education and even personal time alone too, really translated to essentially my entire life. And with the military, I'm able to compartmentalize, knock out tasks, be able to do things, spend time with the family. It's weird that you would think that being deployed to a foreign country is a crazy concept, but when you've done 7 days of practicing and you've had 7 hours on the field and you're in the gym and you're doing your homework and you're trying to maintain your personal life, deployment is just kind of another job, if that makes sense. So TRCC really kind of set the foundation for my being who I am as a man. Three Rivers really brought that challenge of, who are you? How do you become a man? And then as I left, I was like, okay, this is who I am, and this is what I need to bring to be successful in life. My favorite thing about Three Rivers was definitely the family feeling. I enjoyed the tightness. A lot of people, they want to go to these big schools, and they want to be surrounded by all these people. And I never wanted that, or at least I didn't think I wanted. I didn't want that at first. But when I showed up to Three Rivers, and you realize how tight everyone is and how close that community is. I mean, you have a very small apartment compound, but it felt large because everyone was there for each other. Like, you felt like you knew people. And my favorite thing for me coming out of there was that I felt like I belonged somewhere, and that you were proud to be a Raider. Seeing everyone have a good time and getting together, and the community was what really, I think, is one of my favorite things about that, is like you felt like you were a part of something bigger. I will say what surprised me the most at Three Rivers, and really Poplar Bluff in general, is the absolute devotion to sweet tea. I have not understood why sweet tea is such the holy grail of drinks. And that surprised me the most. I was not ready for that. I remember the first time I had it, I thought I was smelling purple. There was so much sugar in that drink. So to me, that's what surprised me the most. I've been so fortunately blessed in my life that I've lived not only in Three Rivers, and then I lived in Fulton, and then I got traded 7 times in the independent league. So I was all over the country. With my last year, I lived in Australia for 6 months playing. Yeah, I got to play in the Sydney Major League under the MacArthur Orioles, and we won a World Series there. So that was really cool too. So I got to win a World Series in Australia, and then after Australia, I joined the. I came home, kind of didn't really see where I was going in my life. Baseball was kind of over for me, and I was like, hey, I still young. I'm still have all these desires, so I joined the Army. And through the grace of God, I ended up joining Ranger Regiment and being in the 75th Ranger Regiment, where I deployed 6 times in 7 years to Afghanistan and other places. So I've seen so much of this stuff that, to when I look back on it, it wasn't the location, it was the people. And like that penchant for sweet tea, it just always rang in my head. When I went to Georgia, because I spent the majority of my time at Fort Benning down in Columbus, Georgia. And it was so funny. I remember the time, like someone gave me sweet tea, and I was like, oh man, I don't, and in the Army, you get what you get, and you can't really, can't really change it. So I remember getting it, and I took a drink, and I was just like, nope, like this is not sweet tea. And of course they started arguing over whose is better. And I was like, I'll tell you right now, like I got a cavity from drinking one drink at sweet tea up at Poplar Bluff. So let me tell you how that's what I understood as sweet tea. What I would tell someone coming to Three Rivers out of high school is to be ready for that next step, and that Three Rivers is going to give you that next step, that life is going to come at you fast, and Three Rivers provides that buffer to help you to become a better person, and to become an adult, and to really start to understand what life is about. And for people coming back to Three Rivers, what I saw was openness to education, that the teachers and the other students were almost excited to have those people come back. I myself remember he was a young man. He was I think he was a Marine. He had just gotten out of the Marine Corps, and he was coming back to education. And you could tell that he felt off because he felt like an older student, but everyone had that encompassing feeling to him. And so the teachers and the educators brought that environment of like, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, you're going to learn and you're going to feel welcome here. The atmospheres were always so relaxed. I didn't feel like I was sitting 75 rows back in a lectern hall, barely able to hear. Like I knew my professors by name. They called me by name. We had that relationship. So going to Three Rivers, you're going to get almost a family-like feeling, and you're going to get a personal education that's going to matter to you. That the educators care about your success individually, which is something that you will not find pretty much anywhere else, in the country at that point. One of the big things I did want to put out there too is one of the best gain things I got from the baseball program and from the school as a whole was how to dig deep and find the resolve to accomplish tasks. And I specifically remember being in Ranger School, cold, shivering, miserable. I hadn't, you get 3 hours of sleep, you get 2 meals a day if you're lucky. You're constantly out in the field patrolling, doing it's horrible. And I remember sitting there specifically, it was in Mountains Phase in Dahlonega, looking over at the sunset, have about one fingernail left on my hand, and like I'm all cracked up and bleeding because it's so cold. And I remember thinking back to Coach Berkey, and we had to run every day at 5:30, and we worked out, and then we practiced, and we went to school, and then we did more practice in the afternoon. And I remember thinking on that mountainside, just miserable as you could absolutely be, going, wow, at least I'm not at Three Rivers right now because I don't want to run anymore. And and as much as I laugh about that, what that said was he and the school taught me that even in your darkest moments, and this is something that Berkey told me that I'll never forget, you're never as bad as you think you are, and you're never as good as you think you are. You're always somewhere in between. So even when the days are darkest, it's not that bad. And so as I'm chuckling to myself, freezing against this tree, I was like, you know what? It's not that bad. It could be worse.